Hello there, welcome to the show. Nice to be back with you. We're here talking news again as we do every so often. I'm Alan Duncan, joined here by Stephen.
Hello.
And the two Marcs, Marc with a K and Marc with a C.
Hey, how's it going?
Hi.
As opposed to Liza with a Z or a Z. No, we won't go into that, that's another.
What's it like having a C?
Well, we're just talking news from the community from the last couple of weeks, major events and what have you. And after an all too long a time, Mr. Max McCosker has finally been released, we hear, a couple of weeks back from prison in Fiji. Did we really show enough interest in the case, do you think?
God, no.
No?
No. We just sat on our heinies. We did nothing. We told people about it, and there was absolutely nothing that's come back from the community in regards to Fiji.
No, it seemed almost that the mainstream and straight media were showing it more attention than the gay media. Yeah.
It did seem that our community really didn't get involved until the mainstream media had reported on it. Now, I don't know if that's because there's apathy in the community or whether our own media circulation is probably not as high as we think it is.
If there's apathy in the community, I think you can be reasonably certain of that to a certain extent. Well, what more could we have done? I mean, write letters or protests? I mean, protests did occur, didn't they, outside the embassies?
Well, the Fijian people that I know from the gay community, they didn't want to bar of it from what the people I've talked to is. And if, I don't know, I would have actually brought attention to this. I would have shot around, tried to get a bit of support, get some sort of petition written or letters written.
So Fijians that you talked to didn't
Some
want
Fijians just didn't want to even go there. They'd rather not talk about it.
Right, so they're happy to sit by and go with the laws, are they?
Very much so.
Really?
Yep.
Well, it looks like maybe a precedent's been set here, because the ruling, the High Court made its ruling and actually criticised the original court process where neither of the men were offered representation at all, and guilty pleas their guilty pleas are not even taken into consideration. So it sounds like a bit of a kangaroo court to me.
Yeah, I'm amazed that they went so far as to do that for a small country that's so dependent on the tourist dollar, especially from, it's so close to a big country like Australia, where a lot of Australians go to Fiji so cheaply, and it's so easily to get there, and then they go do something so high profile. It's just incredible.
Well, Mike, you bring up the tourist issue. I mean, my own personal take is, if you know a country has anti-gay laws, they're going to persecute you as an individual. Would you go there and inject money into their economy? I mean, I often think I'd like to go to Egypt, but you know, while all this stuff's going on, cruise boats of gay people being persecuted, arrested and tortured, why would I go there?
Ironically enough, they don't all have gay laws in Fiji, anti-gay laws. They've actually got laws that support gay relationships and gay rights, but when it comes to physical acts, in this case, they're jumped upon.
Yeah, well, I noticed that. That was highlighted to me as a bit of a contradiction in the Gay.com report. Homosexuality itself is illegal, and yet they say there are laws protecting lesbian and gay people. Doesn't that send rather mixed signals, particularly to tourists?
Very much so. Yeah. They must have a parliament like ours. They just don't get a thing right.
Left hand fighting the right and all this sort of thing.
Well, I think what's probably happened there, and it happens a lot in the parliamentary democracies as they get older, is they've got, I think, an anti-sodomy law still on the statute books. But since then probably a Bill of Rights or something's been introduced that says you can't discriminate against homosexuals. Yeah. And they've been prosecuted against one law, but the other one's contradicting the old law, and I think that's actually what the High Court found.
You know what, it's you Poms and your colonialism again, all these out there.
Yes, well, you colonials, just remember your place, please.
Well, we're not uptight about losing the empire, at least, but anyway, we won't go into that. No, Steve, moving right along. Yeah, I believe you've had your eye on certain, evangelical happenings these last couple of weeks?
Oh, yes. Well, has anyone heard of intelligent design?
Huh?
No, this is creationism under a new name.
What's that? Very, very clever textiles.
I wish it was. No. Basically, it's the Christian lobby would like to see creationism taught in schools against the theory of evolution as an opposing viewpoint. Okay, now across the globe, this has now been relabelled intelligent design, and in America, it's gone as far as George Bush supporting it. And now before biology classes in Dover in Pennsylvania, before they have a biology class and they're going to discuss evolution, this statement is read out. Because Darwin's theory is a theory, it is still being tested as new evidence is discovered. The theory is not fact. Gaps in the theory exist for which there is no evidence. Intelligent design is an explanation of the origin of life that differs from Darwin's view. As true with any theory, students are encouraged to keep an open mind.
Now, do they make a similar statement before teaching creationism or whatever it is? You know, the actual biblical point of view? That's what I'd like to know.
What's significant here is this is actually being stated in a biology class. Now, Brendan Nelson, our federal education minister, has indicated that they might allow intelligent design to be taught in Australian schools, but I understand that he has said it would be under religious studies rather than going to the science class.
That's a bit more reasonable, I suppose.
There are, I mean, the ABC radio last night were doing some discussion in depth on this. And basically, I think someone said, well, if you're going to allow religious dogma to be taught as science, then you might as well start teaching dentists about the tooth fairy. I think the serious issue for this, though, is if you're going to start teaching, if you start allowing these religious ideals to get involved in science, there's a danger that Australia will slip behind the rest of the world when it starts coming to research and development in the future, because we'll start confusing our students on on how to advance on scientific research. If we start then feeding them in, they've got to look at religious ideals as well, and we'll just see Asia go off and design and be inventing new stuff while we're sitting back singing biblical songs.
Yeah.
So this has been looked at as a possibility in the future in Australia. The ironic thing is that it's based presumably under the Christian doctrine that kind of govern a lot of the political motivation out there. However, Australia is a multi-diversial community where you've got hundreds of different religions all in this tiny space called Australia. And how can they even comprehend doing anything like that? When you have so many people out there, you'll be cutting off your nose to spite your face in front of so many different religious types.
Well, I think what's basically happened is there is a small group of Christians who have got a very loud voice, and they have a very, I would call it an extreme view of Christianity. It's fairly perverse, and I think because they've got a loud voice, the politicians hear them. Now, the danger for the politicians is they really need to look at what Australia thinks, not just what this small group think. Because if you look at the recent Morgan poll, it was only about 30% of the country thought homosexuality was immoral. And when you look at the breakdown on the Christian faiths, Catholics were the least homophobic. Not surprisingly, there were more evangelicals that were homophobic, but 40% of those didn't think homosexuality was immoral. So the government's got to be aware that the people that head these churches are not voicing the opinions of their own congregations, which means then that the government's likely to legislate itself out past the back benches into the political wilderness in years to come if it's not careful.
Personally, I'd be worried about what the heads of the Catholic Church usually do say about their personal opinions.
Yeah, well, that would happen in a survey a few years back too. The Catholics were the least, the least likely to judge, which is ironic in itself.
Well, it begs the question actually, if the Catholics are the least likely to judge, and yet their leaders are probably the most vocal against homosexuals, is that why their congregations are declining? Because the congregation is not in the leadership of that church is not really in touch with its congregation.
Isn't Catholicism all about judgment? Is it?
It's about
guilt,
isn't it?
judgment and shame, engendering shame. Well, it seems to be anyway.
Yeah.
But I think, I don't know, the Catholic, Presbyterian, whatever Protestant denomination you want to bring up, they're sort of, like sheep compared to these new evangelicals. I think we've got to be on our guard in the next few years. Anyway, moving on to lighter things. Marc with a K. I believe Batman's been stirring up a bit of controversy these last couple of weeks?
Very much so. There's been a gallery in America that's been showing homoerotic images of Batman and Robin. And DC Comics is not happy about it.
Oh, well,
Now-
come on, reality check here. I
I mean, firstly, they're watercolour paintings. They're not the comic. They're not bringing gay lines into comic books, which have been done in better ways than this.
Yeah.
But it's just an artist's expression of the underlying currents of Batman and Robin. It's the superhero and his underling, their underling being their partner, but not really, but they are.
right.
Okay, now I'm confused.
It's a whole kettle of fish.
Well, we all knew what was going on in the Batcave all those years. I mean, come on. Even if...
Well, the butler was always suspect.
Oh, good old Alfred. So, daddy fetish.
You can just see him cleaning up afterwards, can't you?
That was like the three generations in Wayne Manor, wasn't it? Alfred was the daddy, Batman is the in-between, and Robin is the son. Anyway, we won't go there. But even if it, even if it's a bit, on the edge, I mean, so what? Where's the sense of humour gone in these things?
There's no sense of humour left. They can't. I mean, Batman and Robin, they never took themselves seriously in the 70s. Look at the mini TV program that came out. That was the campus
Yeah.
thing ever.
Of course.
And that's saying something from our community. I mean, they've completely lost their sense of humour. I feel that comic books and the comic book series, you've got to start looking at different places. Japan has one of the greatest gay animes, comics out there these days.
Japan's got some great stuff. Have you heard of Hard Gay?
I haven't heard of Hard Gay yet.
He's the new Japanese not anime, what's the print version? Manga, isn't it?
Manga.
He's the new Japanese manga gay hero. He's an S&M leatherman, and he goes around in his leather gear, but he's actually morally upstanding. He's like
Spectacular.
leather Batman in a way. So come on, guys, lighten up. Batman and Robin, hey.
Yeah, leave them alone.
What is their issue with it? Is it a moral issue? Is it a copyright issue, or what?
It's a bit of both. Any American doesn't like their favourite heroes to be outed. Imagine if Superman ditched Lois Lane and took it with the bald dude. Lex Luthor.
Well, I mean, they're effectively a trademark, aren't they? And it's misusing the trademark and having it sullied and tainted and etc. etc.
Larry Flynn made a great point against you're allowed to take the piss out of American heroes and icons. You're allowed to do these things. It's something in the American Constitution. You're allowed to take a piss out of famous people.
Well, usually there's a loophole if you're satirising something on these things. But
I mean, Australian defamatory laws you can get around if it's satire. So, I mean, I think that does sort of run true in most countries.
Very.
Latest news from America a couple of weeks back. Massachusetts, the one really progressive gay state who initiated gay marriage, are actually looking at taking a step back to calling it civil partnerships. Now, is this a bad precedent, or does it really matter what it's called?
Well, what's the reason behind it? Have they stated a reason behind it?
Social conservatives, hello, sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Social conservatives have been pushing for this since it came in to take it back, so it's not called marriage, so it's not sullying marriage.
I think changing it from gay marriage to a civil union, well, for me personally, is devaluing me as a person.
A meaningful difference to you, yeah?
Yeah, if I choose to do it, I want to be able to say, yes, I'm married. Yes, I'm not unionised.
I'm happy with union. We don't want to screw up our lives getting married like our parents did.
Oh well, we've got a bit of a fight on our hands on a number of levels, but we're up for it, I think. Certainly at Bent TV, we are fighting for money at the moment. We've got a fundraiser coming up.
Yeah.
Bent Bingo. Marc, what's the latest on that?
On the 22nd of September, doors open at the Comics Lounge, Errol Street in North Melbourne. They open at 7 o'clock. It'll be a great night. We've got great presenters coming along. We've got a real professional night planned for you. Good prizes. There's going to be raffles, finger food, and of course the bar's here. So we'd really love to see you there. We'd love to fill this place and keep Bent TV on the air and keep working towards making quality TV.
No worries. Sounds
Thank
like
you.
a fun night. We'll put the contact details up on screen as we always do for you to get tickets. But for now, It's been great to see you again. We'll be back before too long. Thanks, guys.
Yes, no problem.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having us.
No worries. And we'll see you soon after the break. Alrighty, there you heard them, the fantastic sounds of Meebar. And here we have lead vocalist Hope and Rachel. Girls, fantastic stuff there.
Thanks, Alan.
No worries. Now,
very much.
not a problem. Now, it just made, as I said, just made me feel like I was back in the old, early 70s progressive rock days. What were your influences? I mean, that's a hackneyed old question, but it is an interesting one. Any particular person?
Really, Rangers. Yeah, Rangers big time. A bit of Tory, a bit of Radiohead. Take it away, Hope.
My Bloody Valentine. You name it. We are
You don't like
influenced.
your partner?
No.
So,
Nice.
right, they're a group. Sorry.
Yeah. That's very good. It took me a while to get that.
I see you got.
Sorry.
No worries.
I'm with you on the humour now.
Who else? My Bloody Valentine. Who else?
Basically just each other, I think, more than anything.
Well, where did you meet then?
Where did we meet?
Well, Hope and I met at uni.
And then
Years ago.
Chitty asked me to marry him when he was 16.
Ah.
No, I used to work in this jewellery cart, and he used to come in and buy piercing things, and I was older. and he was a young boy.
A young homo, by the way. I
yeah.
always knew he was a homo.
Rachel always said he was a homo.
Doesn't that shit you when they know before
Yeah,
you do? Really?
yeah.
I'll have to ask you about that in a sec.
Yeah, and then we became friends from the jewellery cart, actually,
Yeah.
strangely enough. Because
Oh, well, it's better than the pie cart,
yeah,
isn't it? Yeah,
that's it. And Kalita and Chris just tagged on. I'm not really sure how we found those two, but
Oh, we'll give them the to find out. So,
I do know, but that would be a really long story and quite
Yeah.
boring. Let's leave it to them.
So, rock. Yeah, I know you've been involved in some of the Homo Rock events around town, particularly
Yes.
at the Rob Roy. I mean, do you actively market yourself as a gay group?
that's an interesting question. I don't think we do. I just think that we did Homo Rock.
Well, we actually
Yeah,
started
good.
Homo Rock.
We
because
began it.
You're the
Don't even.
pioneers.
Yeah.
Ah.
We are. I don't mean to brag, but it was actually
brag
Hope,
away.
so I can't brag.
Brag
But
away.
because there's a lot of it, like the dance sort of scene in general homo life, and we, you know, it's nice to see a homo rock band every now and then, but you don't often see that. You can't often go to a night that's all homos playing rock.
Well, exactly. And it is particular. It does seem to be that any rock bands that there are more oriented towards the girls, as it were. Why is that? Why aren't the boys getting out there, you know, hard rocking, that sort of thing?
Are we talking about the homosexual men?
Oh, yeah. Oh, of course.
In
of
general?
course.
I think they are. I just think that it's that thing of we don't necessarily identify them as that type of person. You know what I mean? Like, I think, like me and Rachel were nearly in a punch-on when girls wouldn't believe we were lesbians, and we nearly had to have it out with them in the street. Yeah.
Have it out.
We didn't really. I challenged
Hope's
them.
trying to be so tough on
No.
us.
Yeah,
Really.
you're
But
not living up to your
that's it.
reputation.
Well, they were picking us and saying that we couldn't possibly, because we'd just walked out. This is when we were playing in Brisbane, and we'd gone to a gay club afterwards.
Oh, there's
And
left up there?
yeah, there's
There's
one,
one.
and
Oh.
it's believe
Yeah.
me, they
Go to
need
the
more.
Sporty.
No,
No,
it's called the Wickham.
The
Oh,
Wickham.
yeah,
Wickham.
the good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we were leaving. It was Chris, the guitarist, and the two of us. And these girls were like, "Oh, have you come from the Wickham?" And we said, "Yes." And they went, "You're not lesbians." And we said, "We are lesbians." And they said, "You're not." And it became, yeah.
Well, it's the lippy, you see. Throws
Yeah,
you
I think
out
that's
every
it.
time.
Yeah.
The long hair and the lipstick will
Exactly.
get them every time.
So I believe September 16
Yes.
is the next Rob Roy gig. Is that right?
It is.
Your beliefs are correct.
Beautiful. So some of the stuff we've heard tonight, or can we expect to hear that?
You'll hear it.
And more.
Oh, well, fantastic. Who else is on the bill? It's all gay groups, yeah?
Yes. Well, not every. We have a straight drummer. So there are some straight
Yeah,
members,
there
but
are some
all
straighty
all
180s.
groups have
But sort of,
some homos in them.
And some straighties in the crowd as well. Look, we
Oh, yeah,
embrace
well,
everyone.
Well, we wish we could hear more of that sort of thing,
Yeah.
actually, rather than all
Yeah.
this compartmentalisation.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, the Julies, which are three strapping lads,
Oh.
playing. Yeah, it's kind of like, it's hard to describe their music. They describe it as Burt Bacharach meets the B-52s, I think. So yeah.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
It sounds like my cup of tea.
And the other one is Shoot the Genie. And I think they're, again, mainly lassies with one guy. And I think they're kind of, I don't know, Chris, how would you describe them from the back there? Give me a yell. Rock. They're
Rock.
just rock.
Which is handy
well.
since it's
But
a
I
homo
think
rock
they're
show.
like the Breeders, kind of, that kind of genre.
Fantastic. Hope and Rachel, thank you so much.
Alan,
Okay,
thank
thank
you.
No
Thank you.
worries. And thanks for joining us in Studio Q for tonight.